Before he moderates tonight's program, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Robin Joyce, who is chair of the Jim Joyce Endowment. Like his father, Robin is a journalism graduate of this university. He received his bachelor's degree in journalism in 1983, then took just a little while to earn his master's, 21 years to be exact, from the Reynolds School of Journalism. Robin says that if at first you don't succeed in getting that master's, just wait 20 years and try again. Robin is president and CEO of Joyce and Associates, one of the leading public relations and government affairs firms in Las Vegas. Jim Joyce founded the firm in 1975. Robin has managed numerous successful political campaigns and also has worked as a lobbyist at the Nevada legislature. He and his lovely wife Patty are benefactors of the journalism school. Robin and Patty, thank you for all you do for the school, and let us begin the evening's program. Robin Joyce.
Thank you, Jerry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be moderating tonight's panel discussion featuring Frank Fahrenkopf, Anjeanette Damon, and Jon Ralston. Before I introduce our panelists, I'd like to recognize and acknowledge the members of our committee who helped make the endowment and tonight's event possible. They are very near and dear to my heart, and I want you to please give them a warm round of applause. I'm going to give you their names, and if you'll hold your applause till the end. The members of the Joyce Endowment Committee are Warren LaRude, Rosemary McCarthy, Greg Ferraro, Greg Bordelin, Linda Fess, and Kristen Bergarella. Give them a nice round of applause. Thank you all for being here. It's truly an honor to be part of this endowment. This endowment to me embodies what my dad was all about, political communications. He was really the foremost authority in that area, in my view, and I know many of yours. We're very excited, the committee and I are very excited about kicking off tonight's event with the topic, the impact of debates on the presidential nomination process. And I'm thrilled to introduce to you the people who will be discussing that topic with you. On my immediate left, Frank Fahrenkopf is co-chairman of the Commission on Presidential Debates and president CEO of the American Gaming Association. Among his many accomplishments, Frank was chairman of the Republican National Committee from 1983 to 1989, serving longer than any person in the 20th century, and in that time led the party through 2 presidential victories. He has been a frequent commentator on political and gaming issues on programs such as Meet the Press, Face the Nation, Inside Politics, and Hardball, and he served as the first chairman of the American Bar Association Committee on Gaming Law. Despite being based in Washington, Frank is a true Nevadan, and he earned his degree in Foreign Affairs from the University of Nevada in 1962. Please welcome Frank Fahrenkopf. Seated at the middle of the table, Anjeanette Damon covers politics for the Reno Gazette-Journal. She has reported on political campaigns, ballot initiatives, and the Nevada legislature since 2003. And before that covered police and city hall for the Gazette-Journal for 6 years. Anjeanette received her bachelor's in journalism right here at the University of Nevada in 1998, and last year earned her master's in public administration from Harvard University. Please welcome Anjeanette Damon. And on my far left, Jon Ralston is one of the most recognized and respected political analysts in the state of Nevada, on TV, the web, and in print, regarding Nevada and national politics. Jon came to Las Vegas in 1984, covering police for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and 5 years later became a full-time political columnist. In 1993, Jon began publishing a statewide political newsletter called The Ralston Report, and 5 years after that began a daily subscriber newsletter sent by email that deals with political and business issues. In 1999, he signed an agreement to work for the Greenspun Media Group. for whom he writes columns for the Las Vegas Sun and In Business Las Vegas. And he also hosts a daily public affairs TV show called Face to Face. He received his bachelor's in English from Cornell University in 1981 and earned a master's in journalism from the University of Michigan in 1983. Please welcome Jon Ralston. Well, there are a lot of smart people at this table, aren't there? I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Frank, let's start with you. I'd like to hear your impressions of the debate process by addressing the following question, and I'll ask Anjeanette and Jon to give their reactions to your comments, if that's okay. Frank, here's the question. As co-chairman of the Commission on Presidential Debates since 1987, you've been involved with 6 presidential campaigns. What trends have you seen, both positive and negative, in the debate process that have impacted voter participation in those presidential campaigns?
Well, first of all, I want to say what a great honor it is to be here. And Joe, if they named this building after you, you deserve it, buddy. You meant so much to this university. And it's just thanks for coming. And in many ways, Robin, and not a lot of people know this, in many ways, your father really got me started in politics. Because when I pledged the ATO House, and we decided we were going to run a guy named Richard Bryan for student body president, I sort of was the junior woodchuck in that team with Jim. You know, he went astray afterwards and started supporting Democrats, but I mean, there are sins that you have to live with some people. But he really did, and we worked together in the legislature, so I wouldn't have missed being here. Jim and Nedra were dear friends, and we miss them. There's a couple of comments I would make about it. Number one is, everyone expects there to be debates now. But you know, it wasn't that way. In 1960, when Nixon and Kennedy debated and started really the debate process in modern times, there have been a few in the late 50s. There have been a few primary debates, but nothing of the magnitude that we have now. But we went 16 years from 1960 to 1976 without presidential debates. There was no way that Lyndon Johnson was going to allow Barry Goldwater to get on the stage with him and be elevated to, you know, be equal. And Richard Nixon's experiences in the 1960 debates made sure that in 1968 and 72, he was not going to debate, and he refused to debate. Now, about just before Nixon died, we got Jim Lehrer to try to create a living history with oral interviews of all participants in the debates. And Jim went out and interviewed everyone, and there was one person who would not agree to be interviewed. It was Richard Nixon. So I called President Nixon and I said, Mr. President, you're the only one left. I mean, other than Sander Van Oker, who was one of the questioners in that process, it's part of history, you really must do it. He said, Frank, I've never talked about the experiences in 1960, and I'm not going to start now. Well, I wasn't going to take no for an answer, so I was going to pull some dirty pool. His son-in-law, David Eisenhower, is a good friend of mine. David teaches at Penn, and of course he was married to Julie Nixon. So I called David and I said, David, you've got to do this. I mean, we've got to get him, you know, with an oral history. And David called me back 3 days later and said, Frank, he will not do it. And he went to his grave without doing it. That's how strongly he felt about the bad experience that had happened in 1960. Jerry Ford really had no choice. After the pardoning of Nixon, he was behind Carter, and he had to debate. So those debates took place, and it was in that cycle that we had the first vice presidential debate. Most people forget it, but that was Walter Mondale against Bob Dole, vice presidential candidates. Then we came in 1980. It was a very troublesome time. We were not doing the debates then. We didn't take over until the 1988 debates. The League of Women Voters were running the debates. And they had the rule that we now have. In order to participate in the debates, you must be at 15% in the polls. Well, in 1980, when the first debate rolled around, there were 3 people who had 15% in the polls. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, anyone? John Anderson. John Anderson was a congressman from Illinois, and he was at 17%. And Jimmy Carter said, I refuse to debate if John Anderson's in it. So the first debate in 1980, I was there in Baltimore.